Hello. One way the gestalt theory and the existential theory are similar is because they both really talk about heavily on self-awareness and taking responsibility for someone's own actions. The existential theory says that individuals are who they are based on every decision they have made, and individuals have the choice to be different if they make better decisions. The gestalt theory says the environment a person is in heavily influences who they are as a person, which they're different ideas, but the same kind of big, broad ideas. One strength of existential theory is it does not see the world from one perspective or one way of relating to the world. It focuses on issues that everybody in any culture experiences, like death. Very broad ideas that anybody can relate to, and which is important from a multicultural perspective. Along with that, though, a weakness would be it does not take into consideration the cultural differences of each person or kind of individual factors that have made a person who they are. It's definitely more broad and more vague. A strength of the gestalt theory is it focuses on the present instead of the past or the future. So a lot of anxiety can come from thinking about past regret, or past decisions, while this theory focuses on the here and now, even to the point where in a counseling session, the counselor will address what's happening right now, what are we feeling right now in this moment. So that's really important. One drawback of the gestalt theory, though, is it can focus too much on the positive side of humans and not necessarily on the dark side, which is what every textbook said the dark side. So it focuses too heavily on the positive side and not necessarily on the negative or the dark side. Also, this kind of therapy can be intensely emotional because of the emotions that it's dragging up. One way the gestalt theory is compatible with Christian concepts is it focuses on being real and authentic. The emphasis of it focuses on the entire person and not just parts or saying some parts are better than others. This reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses. It's Corinthians 12:14, and it says, "Even so the body is made up not of one part, but of many." And so I made that connection because it's talking about how we all have different parts and one's not better than the other. They all just have different functions, and that's kind of the same view as this Bible verse, at least in my eyes. But it is incompatible, again, back to that focusing mainly on the positive parts of humans and not the dark side. The existential theory is compatible because it deals with real and basic human issues that the Bible also emphasizes, again, like death. But one drawback is even though it focuses on the importance of a therapeutic relationship between a client and a therapist, that can almost be too much, and it can kind of fill that hole of a relationship with God and maybe even draw the client further away from God than closer. So that can be a drawback, and existential therapists really need to be on top of that and making sure that they've set a line, they've set boundaries, and so that it's not crossing different lines. So any limitations, the existential theory is very broad. I think I said the word vague and broad, and I went like this a little bit to talk about it because that's what it is. It's very vague, and it doesn't have its own therapeutic processes. So this can be kind of hard to collect research from this one because there's not really much to study. There's not anything not tangible, but there's not really anything to measure for outcomes because it's all so different and really based on the client and the therapist. So that could be one drawback and limitations. But in the textbook, I will link all the textbooks that I use down below. The gestalt theory has a lot more research, and over the past few years, it's been able to gain more research and gain more support based on the different theories that it's kind of embraced and the different techniques that it's kind of used. So yeah, those are the gestalt and the existential. Thank you for watching.